welcome everyone to our Lent Reflections. Last week we focused on going deeper in prayer. Our Lent theme for this week is going deeper in surrender. These reflections will be led by myself, Richard and Eleanor. So I thought we'd start off by thinking, what is surrender? When I think of surrendering, the image in my mind is of someone waving a white flag in a battle to signify that they're giving in and to show that they've lost the fight. Of course, there's a huge difference between surrendering to an enemy and surrendering to God. Another image which came to mind was that of breaking in a horse. The process a horse goes through in order to accept a rider on its back. Years ago, this process was rather cruel, referring to literally breaking the animal's spirit so they wouldn't resist a rider. Nowadays, it's much kinder and more gentle. It's a process where the horse learns to build a relationship of trust with their rider. When we are surrendering to God, we are not being overcome by an enemy, and we are not becoming broken in spirit. Instead, we submit to one we can trust. Throughout the book of Acts, we see how the early Christians learned to live out their lives surrendering to God. In Acts chapter 4 and verse 32, it says these words: "All the believers were one in mind and heart. No one claimed that any of his possessions was his own, but they shared everything they had." Barnabas, the son of encouragement, surrendered what he had to be used for God. He sold his field and laid down his rights to keep the money for himself. Instead, he gave the money to the apostles to be shared amongst everyone. A popular modern worship song, Surrender, has these lyrics: "I'm giving you my heart and all that is within. I lay it all down for the sake of you, my King. I'm giving you my dreams, laying down my rights. I'm giving up my pride for the promise of new life. And I surrender all to you, all to you." This speaks of giving up and laying down, not concepts which come easily to many of us. One of the phrases that stands out for me is, "I'm laying down my rights." This isn't the denial that we have rights, but whilst recognising our rights, being able to lay them down. An older hymn, "Oh the Bitter Shame and Sorrow," chronicles a Christian's journey through discipleship. To start with, their life and will consists of all of self and none of thee. As the verses continue, our discipleship is reflected in the progression of the words: some of self and some of thee, and then less of self and more of thee, and finally none of self and all of thee. This makes me wonder where I am in this journey of surrender. I am challenged to wonder whether I am willing to lay down my rights. I know I haven't reached the stage of being able to claim none of self and all of thee yet. But I wonder how well I'm doing with the less of self and more of thee. I'm going to leave you to reflect on this concept for yourself. But first, I also want to leave you with this thought. When we dig deeper and get to know who God really is, we will want to surrender to him. Thank you for listening. I'll see you again tomorrow.